Hello, good evening and welcome to Business here on Joy News Prime with me, Beverly Bro. We begin from the banking sector as about 16 banks could record more losses this year as a result of the domestic debt exchange program. According to research conducted by banking consultant Dr. Richmond Echiahene and KB Frimpong, the uncaptured losses of nearly 17.1 billion cedis could impact negatively the 2023 audited financial statements of 16 banks that did not capture the entire losses in 2022. Here's more in this report.
Out of the 22 banks, only 6 banks managed to capture fully the impairment losses in 2022. The rest of the losses would have to be captured before the banks submit their recapitalization as requested by the International Monetary Fund country report on Ghana. The 16 banks are expected to include the remaining impairment losses of about 17.1 billion cedis in their 2023 audited financial statement, which could also impact negatively on their capital adequacy ratio and profitability. The 22 banks recorded impairment losses of about 19.4 billion cedis as a result of the domestic debt exchange program. This impacted their profitability. 8 banks' capital adequacy ratio, which measures the bank's accessible capital expressed as a percentage of a bank's risk-weighted assets and liabilities, is now below 13%. The domestic debt exchange program has resulted in losses. The report therefore urged the Bank of Ghana to periodically monitor the expected capital shortfalls and ensure the plans on rebuilding capital buffers are implemented.
The Coalition of Individual Bondholders Groups has notified the government that members of the group will picket the Ministry of Finance to demand payment of their bonds. The coalition, which is made up of the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana and Individual Bondholders Forum, consists of about 3,000 individual bondholders. Here's more in this report.
In a statement signed by convener of Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana, Dr. Joel Jangma, and convener of the IBF, Senyo Hosi, the coalition said its members will picket the ministry from July 6, 2023 until the resolution of their grievances. It explained that members will be picketing to, among other things, draw government attention to its failure to pay outstanding principals due its members and the facilitation of the conversion of subsequent maturing bonds into treasury bills in the month of June and beyond, as agreed in the MOU signed by the leadership of the Coalition of Individual Bondholders and the Ministry of Finance on behalf of the government.
Now, Senior Manager Tax Unit at Deloitte Ghana is of the view that it will be premature for government to use the 2023 mid-year budget review to scrap some taxes introduced in the 2023 budget as part of the IMF conditions for securing a bailout. Some business associations have appealed to the finance minister to use the 2023 mid-year budget review to relook at some taxes to provide financial space for businesses. But Mr. Addo says it is too soon.
I think that it will be pretty premature for government to possibly consider the cry from industry players. But be that as it may, I think that the tone in the economy in terms of what business, the challenges businesses are facing should also be something that has to be considered by government. Either way, you raise revenue through the economic activities of these business entities. So it's very important that you give a fair consideration to the challenges that they are facing, because cost of doing business, is clearly up the roof, and when these things are happening, it also tends to affect other tax handles, not only corporate taxes, because it could affect PAYE, employment income taxes, and other streams of taxes, because these industry players will try to also put in place cost-cutting measures which will affect other areas of revenue mobilization. So government will need to strike a balance in ensuring that, look, we set out these policies in order to meet the IMF conditionalities. We've been able to make headway. What can we also do to ensure that we meet the industry players halfway in order for them to have some respite in doing business in Ghana? There's been that call for government to scrap off the COVID-19 levy. And I think that is something that is in order, because the essence or the purpose for which it was established, I think that has outlived its time, because COVID, in essence, has been declared by the World Health Organization as something that is manageable now, and it is within the control of most countries within the global space. So these are some of the tax handles that I think that government should be considering in order to bring some respite to business or key industry players within the business industry in Ghana.
Moving on, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry says there is the need for the business community to be well informed and updated on the impact of the International Monetary Fund program. This, the Chamber said, will aid local businesses to factor the effects of the IMF program in their long-term plans. According to the president of the Chamber, Clement Osei-Amoako, there should be more ambitious structural reforms to support businesses.
Its cost of doing business is also driving up inflation. These developments depict the hardship businesses are currently facing as a result of these measures. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, given the potential adverse consequences of these reforms on businesses, it is crucial that business operators are well informed about the IMF program and its implication for their operations. It is equally important for them to implement measures that can effectively mitigate the negative impact on our businesses. Hence, the Chamber has taken this initiative to organize this edition of the Chamber National Dialogue. Furthermore, the Chamber is earnestly committed to utilizing this dialogue as an advocacy platform to communicate the concerns of businesses to the government. In line with its mandate, the Chamber intends to actively pursue follow-ups with the government and relevant departments to ensure that these concerns are given urgent consideration, particularly during the upcoming mid-year budget review.
Now, Ghana and other African countries have been urged to reduce the size of their governments in order to have consistency in developing their economies. According to the founder and president of the African Center for Economic Transformation, Dr. K.Y. Amoako, African leaders have failed to inspire long-term vision and growth, thus contributing to the underdevelopment of the continent. Dr. Amoako was speaking at a United Nations Development Program, Africa, in collaboration with the African Influencers for Development.
That partnership between the private sector and the government, where the government does the basic things, like macroeconomic stability, help with infrastructure, dialogues with the private sector along this long-term vision. That's critical. And then also, you need to have consistency. It comes to institutions, the institutions that have to provide. So in Ghana, for example, that one said when you have 120 ministries, how can you have consistency and coordination? It goes against the basic tenets, so it's a fact. And my final message is about leadership. It's leadership that to drive all these things. And there's a book by Robert Rodbeck, I forget his name, which was Transformative Leadership. And he states leadership around the world, in Africa, in Asia, Korea, all those stories. And he comes to the conclusion that leadership matters everywhere, but it matters more in developing countries.
We do some more stories now, and the Chief Executive of the Ghana Telecommunications Chamber, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, is urging government to review the policy regulating the sale of spectrum from telecom service providers. According to him, the current structure is not competitive and not attractive enough for investors. Dr. Ashigbe was speaking at the launch of Console Connect, an internet services platform for Africa. Here's a report.
WAPS Digital, a pan-African digital solutions provider, has announced its strategic collaboration with Console Connect, a leading global network service provider, to revolutionize Africa's digital infrastructure landscape and drive the continent's digital transformation. This is to provide high-performance internet connectivity to customers and provide the digital solutions needed for business growth. During a panel discussion as part of the launch, Chief Executive of the Ghana Telecommunications Chamber, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, called for a drastic change in policy for the acquisition of spectrums for network service providers.
How are you going to enable that happening? It's to prevent starting to take the money upfront. Our spectrum sale policy, for example, has to completely change. You cannot have the situation where you sell a 2x10, for 4G at 67 million. And then you take your comparator in, say, Tanzania, that has a larger market than you, the output is about the same as you, and it's selling the same thing for 10 million. So what happens then is that when they spend 60-something million to do it, how much money then is left for them to invest to ensure that everybody gets it? So the way we price, but we also need, and this is where industry also needs to come to the table, we need to realize the fact that the African governments require money as well.
Director General of the National Information Technology Agency, NITA, Richard Ochirifosu, disclosed that government is making effort to lessen the burden on entrepreneurs in the digital economy.
The government is committed to co-creating a conducive environment for innovation and facilitating access to long-term financing required by local entrepreneurs, along with strategic partnerships and expansion of government research and development initiatives.
Speaking at the same event, South African High Commissioner to Ghana, Grace Mason, was optimistic that the collaboration will enhance the move towards 5G services in Ghana and other parts of the continent.
Looking forward to the introduction of a 5G spectrum in order to enhance connectivity for economic benefits. This will also complement investments such as the state of the data center investment by Onyx, which is now serving the market in Ghana.
The collaboration will leverage existing infrastructure to provide services to other West and North African countries.
West Africa's leading automotive industry player, Rana Motors, has launched the all-new Kia Carens to the Ghanaian market. The Kia Carens, which is a 7-seater vehicle, is purposely designed to afford families the opportunity to experience comfortability and relaxation when embarking on adventures. It comes along with many features such as high-tech spec, space, safety, and convenience. Here's more from the launch of the all-new Kia Carens in Accra.
Designed with bold attitude and space-age sophistication to offer experiences from a different world, the Kia Carens is futuristic with many class-leading features that commands instant attention. Carens has a bigger exterior dimensions. It has a 2,780 millimeters long wheelbase, which makes the car more stable at high speeds and gives better legroom in the back seat. Kia Carens offers a class-leading space with plush 3-row seating comfort with a 7-seater capacity. Kasem Odemat is the Chief Operating Officer of Rana Motors.
It's filled with the convenience features. Also, when it comes to the safety features, you have a lot of safety features in the vehicle also, which makes a lot of sense since it's a family car. Of course, you have the airbags, you have the ISOFIX child lock that you can use for the child seats in the second row. You have downhill brake control, you have hill start assist control, you have vehicle stability management, you have electronic stability control, manual speed limit assist, ABS anti-lock brake system, parking assist, and a rear view camera for parking assist as well.
He says the new vehicle is cost efficient, durable and affordable to compete on the Ghanaian market.
We have high expectations. We believe that this model will do well. And we are actually trying as much as possible that within the next 2 or 3 days, our vehicles will be also, open for the public in all our showrooms, in the 5 showrooms we have across the country, from Accra to Spintex, Tema, Kumasi, and Takoradi. Also, for the other regions, we are also looking at how we can display them in public areas, where also we can showcase it to all the public to be able to also have a look at it and see and have a feel of the vehicle. We believe it will do. It's a good model. It will do well, but time will tell.
Meanwhile, some families who graced the launch expressed excitement about the all-new Kia Carens and how beneficial it will be to them.
It's the type I've been looking for because of the current cost of fuel, and this has the 1.5 liter, which will be economical for the family. So really, I'll prefer this model.
It's very spacious. When we sat in it, there were a lot of space. We are about 7 people in the vehicle, but there was a lot of space in it. And the seats too are so comfortable. The kids have space, they can play around in the car.
So, the next time you hit the road, you don't have to leave anyone or anything behind, as Kia Carens has proven to be the safest car in its class.
Now, as part of its commitment to empower SMEs by providing them with the necessary tools, resources and support to thrive in a competitive business landscape, telecommunications giant MTN Ghana has launched its annual Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises SMEs Month here in Accra. More in this report.
Over 90% of business enterprises in the country are SMEs. They not only form around 80% of the total employment in Ghana, but also account for some 60% of the country's GDP. Due to the significant role of SMEs to Ghana's economy, MTN Ghana says it is poised to create a good business environment for the sector to meet global standards. Here is Chief Executive Officer of MTN Ghana, Selom Adedivo.
We're trying to do all of this because we also anticipate that in a year or 2, we should see regional markets start to open up, where by virtue of the AFCFTA, we would have a much broader competitive basis, where our services and solutions won't be restricted to this market. And that certainly spells and smells big opportunities, but it also signifies major threats if we're not advanced and sophisticated enough, where others can come into this market and serve the same customers that we seek to serve today. So of course, it's important for all of us, first of all, to be ready and to be the leaders in this space. So we not only enable the ecosystem that we are in today, but also ensure that we're competitive in tapping the opportunities that would open up.
On his part, Chief Enterprise Officer for MTN Ghana, Daniel Asari, detailed activities lined up for this year's program.
The program is a month-long event to show or demonstrate our partnership to SMEs. We're doing market activations where we go door to door, talk to SMEs, showcase our products to them, and let them subscribe to the service that will help them grow. Beyond that, we also make room for SMEs who also want to advertise their products, starting with MTN employees. So every day in the month, we'll give you opportunity to come to either the head office or a selected branch to showcase your products to MTN customers. And then the icing on the cake will be the SME Fair, where we'll bring SMEs together in Accra at the Rollins Park and then Kumasi Mall for them to showcase their products, whilst we also let them know the services or solutions we have for SMEs.
Some beneficiaries shared how MTN Business Solutions has impacted their business.
MTN has been a vehicle which is driving our business to greater heights. We are able to communicate with our customers.
MTN has been so instrumental in the past 2 years, providing us with the business solutions, as subsidized business solutions and affordable business solutions. This has really helped us to cut down our overheads and spending on certain solutions that we as an SME know that we don't have enough capital to be able to do that.
The month-long event will be climaxed with a live exhibition to afford SMEs the opportunity to showcase their products and services to potential customers, investors, and partners in Accra and Kumasi.
The German corporation says it is investing 53 million euros in capacity development training for agricultural entrepreneurs up to 2027. Speaking to Joy Business, technical advisor GIZ Melanie Hindara said the project, dubbed Business Support Facility for Resilient Agriculture Value Chains, seek to transform the lives of many in the sector, especially women.
GIZ, the Agribusiness Facility for Africa, together with GIZ Move Cashew, we have launched the very first training of Gender Makes Business Sense Plus. It's a training approach that was actually developed by another GIZ program called a TVET for Women with the African Union Development Agency, AUDA NEPAD. And now ABF and Move, we have worked on the content of GMBS Plus, and we made it better for scaling, and we also worked on the business modules. And now we are launching it here for the very first time in Ghana. The entire volume of the project is 53 million euros. And then, some of them is going into the development of the new training approaches. We have the core output, which is the matching grant fund, and then we also have an output for South-South exchange, where stakeholders can exchange about how the implementation went. Maybe one country has developed a very innovative strategy, and this can be shared then with other countries for the same value chain.
And that's our package for tonight. For more business news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I'm Beverly Broom. I leave you with news making headlines on the international front.